I finally got to give up on the iPhone 14 Plus. So I've been using the phone for about 3 weeks, and I had something happen where I just can't use this phone. So I actually like it. I don't like that it's $8.99. I feel like $7.99 is probably a more fair price since it's last year's hardware. If it were all the new stuff, the A16, all that jazz, yes, I would say maybe charge a little bit extra. But since it's basically a repackaged 13 Pro with a bigger screen and missing the third camera, no promotion, a couple other things. So I went out to the soccer field. My son is in soccer, and normally I carry two phones. I carry an iPhone, I carry an Android, and I usually carry a third Android phone because I usually have three of my SIM cards on me. So I had the iPhone 14 Plus, and my son was out on the soccer field. I was right on the sidelines. So normally I can get some pretty good shots. And I realized then that one, the iPhone 14 Plus video is only capable of 3 times zoom as opposed to the 9 times zoom on the 14 Pro. And I also learned that the 14 Plus is only capable of 5 times digital zoom, whereas the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max can do 15 times zoom on the photo. And the results are stunning because I couldn't even make out who my son was on the field mostly. Like, the only reason I knew who he was basically was because he had yellow cleats on. And this right here is across from the field, like across the soccer field. If you are familiar with what that's like in real life, my son is on here. That's as close as I could get. So basically, thank goodness I had my Samsung phone because I did zoom in about 15 times or so, 15, 20 times. And you can make out everyone over there. Clear as day. It's really, really good. So, yes, that's the main reason that I'm going to go back to the 14 Pro Max because, well, that's what I like to take a lot of my photos on for family stuff because it's very easy for me to share it with my wife. My kids like me to send the photos to them. It's kind of a pain in the rear end when my son's sitting at the dinner table and he wants, like, the real photos and has me send them to him on his phone. I can just airdrop them over, no big deal, while we're sitting there eating some pizza after the game. Or so he can share them with his friends, so I can put them on Facebook, send them to my wife, and it works out really nice and easy. Of course, you can text them, but because of iMessage, as opposed to sending them from the Android, and especially if you want to send a video clip. That's the other thing. Video clips. Video clips with 3 times digital zoom, not so good for trying to capture that with some American soccer while my son is trying to play in a soccer game. And I've actually really enjoyed the phone. I haven't really found a need up until now to switch back to my Pro Max. I bought this with my own money. Apple doesn't send me anything. They don't even return my emails. Of course, I haven't sent one to them in years because, look, Apple's very much, from what I know, you need to say nice things about our products, and I do give them credit. I carry one around. There's a lot of great reasons to have an iPhone. There's a lot of people that love iPhone. So I'm not trying to snub the iPhone community. It's just not my favorite. I prefer Samsung. I prefer Microsoft Surface Duo 2. I prefer my Huawei Mate XS2. I mean, there's a lot of Android phones out there that I really love. So, also, I used Blackberries for like 15 years straight. So, yeah, there wasn't any need for me to go over to the iPhone. So, using the iPhone mostly for me is just for family reasons. And I've talked about this many times before. I've talked about it because iMessage. iMessage is great for me and my kids. Tracking stuff, seeing where my kids are at, allowing them to have their authorized Apple card that I let them use with their limit on it, or if they need to buy something, or if they need to ask me about it so they can use it to spend it on something. Sharing Apple Music across all of them, sharing Apple TV. There's a lot of reasons for families to have an iPhone that's definitely nothing close to it when it comes to Android. Even though Samsung is working on it, even though Google's working on it, nothing comes close. I'm sorry to tell you that. So, as much as I'm not a fan of Apple as a culture and a business, I am very respectful and appreciate what they do with their hardware, even though it's not my favorite thing. It's just kind of a necessity. I also like the Apple games and iMessage and stuff. There's a lot of stuff my kids like to play there: chess, checkers, darts. There's a lot of different ones. So the iPhone 14 Plus, it was an experiment because the 14 Pro Max, the battery life has not been very good. It's not lasting me a full day in a lot of cases, and I can't leave it off the charger. I can't forget to charge it at night, otherwise mostly screwed the next day. And then it doesn't charge very fast. I mean, 20 watts is as fast as this thing goes. So for people who want to talk about, the Samsung Galaxy S23 has slow charging, the Pixel 7 and 7 Pro have slow charging, the S23 Ultra has slow charging, all of those have much faster charging than the iPhones. So we'll see what happens with this year. This is not a like blast the phone kind of thing. It was just a reality check because I was sitting there and my wife had her iPhone 13 Pro and she's like, "Why are your pictures? Why can't you zoom in? Why can't you see our son? Why do I have to take this picture?" Because she relies on me to take the picture. She does the cheering and the rooting and the handing out the snacks, and I do all the video and the photo stuff. And I'm like, thank goodness I have my S23 Ultra out here so I can reach out and actually see our son on the field and get a picture of him, and then actually have something to share on Facebook so our family can see it, because we have a big extended family. You know, a lot of them older now, don't have the opportunity to travel, come down to these games. So that's really important. So iPhone 14 Pro Max, yes, much better in that department, and that's because of the dedicated third camera on the back, the telephoto camera. And I've mentioned before, I don't really use a whole lot of telephoto stuff unless it's for my kids' games, and then I really, really need it. And you're probably thinking, okay, well, can't you just use the S23 Ultra and do that? Yes, but I don't always want to carry that one. And sometimes if I'm going out to do a family thing, I may just only carry one phone. And in cases like going to the soccer game, my primary is probably going to be my iPhone, unless I'm testing stuff out. So that's kind of the thing. And it's kind of frustrating because I've had a lot of software issues with my iPhone 14 Pro Max. I'm going to factory reset it again and reset it up from a backup and see how that works, because ironically, the iPhone 14 Plus has actually been really good. Zero software issues, zero heating issues. I can even use the camera on this thing. It's not heating up like my Pro Max is. There's something with the A16 in the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max that I don't know what is going on. Of course, there's a new version of iOS out now. I've got that updated. But yeah, when I record, used to be, especially even when I first got the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max, they didn't really get all that warm when you were recording. Now it gets quite hot whenever I'm recording, even just off the selfie camera. And there are differences also with the primary cameras as well. We know on the iPhone 14 Plus, still a 12 megapixel camera. The 48 megapixel camera on the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max actually is quite a bit better. And then you do the tandem duo with the telephoto, you reach out and touch stuff, having that expanded dedicated zoom for the pictures and also for the video, a lot better than what you get with the 14 Plus. So I love the battery life. If I could take the battery life, yeah, it's not even a deal breaker, the screen. I've actually quite acclimated to the 60 hertz on the iPhone 14 Plus. It doesn't break my heart. It's not my preference, but it is, of course, noticeable going to the Pro Max. But that's going to be one of the things. Going back to the Pro Max, I will use the ProMotion. I will use the always-on display. I will use the cameras. My battery life will suffer, and I will be back in the like 6.5 hour ballpark. It's just really weird that things were so good, and they still are. With the A15, if you use the latest version, iOS 16, all that great stuff on the iPhone 14 Plus, it works out great. But as soon as you put on the Pro Max, I seem to have issues with this. So I'm going to see what I can do with the Pro Max. I'll probably still make some more content with this down the road. I think for a lot of people, this is a great option, but I think if you're a parent, there are some reasons that might be compelling to go with a Pro or a Pro Max, especially if your kids are into sports, because this right here is very disappointing in the year 2023. So that's all I've got in this video. I don't normally make a lot of iPhone content, but let me know if this is helpful. Let me know if you enjoy this, because I don't get a great response. I don't get a lot of people that really watch them. And of course, YouTube doesn't push them anywhere. So not the biggest iPhone fan, but if the fans want it, then I'm happy to make videos like this to share my experience with mine. And of course, like I said, I buy this. I mean, my Pro Max, I'm recording on it right now. I've got this one. I just gave my 13 Pro to my son because he lost his 12. So yeah, I usually hang on to this stuff, and I cover these phones for instances like this. Of course, I make the videos when they first come out, first couple of weeks, but I'm not really an iPhone channel. But I mean, iPhone is the dominant platform here in the US by quite a margin. So let me know what you think. Let me know if this was helpful. Let me know if you want to see more iPhone content. Please sound off in the comment section. Tell me your preference on that, and any other questions or comments you may have. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you guys next time.